Hi Vinyl Community, Elliot here, Lazy Dogs Records, and this is my entry to Jeff Kempton's 7700 contest. He is has over 700 subscribers now, and he's done 70 editions of his video feature, and he has 3 questions for us. The first one is an album that you were really disappointed. You anticipated, and when you got it, you were really disappointed in it. My brother and my sister-in-law are they get to a lot of shows. They they got a really great radio station down on the coast of North Carolina where they live. There's one in Wilmington called the Penguin that plays a lot of really good music that you don't normally hear on the radio. And they are not far from Myrtle Beach either. They go down to the House of Blues at Myrtle Beach sometime and see shows. So they see a lot, and they seek out a lot of music. They'll even drive down. They drove down to Charleston last year and saw Jackson Brown. And they go to Wilmington and see shows at Greenfield Lake. They have a lot of good shows there too. So they give me ideas, suggestions about a lot of music, and they're pretty spot on. I mean, they tell me about a lot of good music. And they had told me about an artist called Leon Bridges, and after they told me about him, I actually saw him on Saturday Night Live, Austin City Limits, and I thought this guy's good. I want to get some music by him. So I ordered this album, Good Thing, and I have to say I was really disappointed, because I like what I heard on Austin City Limits, and he came highly recommended. But I was expecting a gritty 60s, 70s era soul record, similar to something we would have heard coming out of Muscle Shoals or Memphis, something like that. And he's a Texan, so a lot of good music coming out of Texas. Just was very, very disappointed. This album is more 80s, polished, smooth. It sounds like something from the 80s or 90s. Not nearly as soulful as I prefer. So that really disappointed me, that album. And then he asked us to tell something, not necessarily music or record related, something about ourselves that we haven't already shared. And I thought about that a while. It's not a whole lot, but I'm a pretty boring person. But how about this? I was always, growing up, a big basketball fan, and I loved to play basketball when I was a kid. I wasn't very good at it, but that didn't get in my way of playing in the backyard all the time and everything. But we live near a college, university now, Campbell, and Campbell's got the oldest basketball camp in the country. It was the first one started, a basketball camp for kids to go to. And I actually ended up helping out, working there during the summer as a teacher. You're always looking for summer employment, and I helped them out a few times there in adult life. But as a child, Pistol Pete Maravich, the great Pistol Pete, the man that could do anything with a basketball, he would come to Campbell. His father was a coach. He used to coach at NC State, and then he coached at LSU when Pistol Pete was college age. But Pistol Pete would come each year, and he wouldn't be a regular camp counselor. He would put on exhibitions, and in our little county, Harnett, it's a bunch of small towns. So it's not like we had a lot of things to do. When Pistol Pete came, he would put on these exhibitions, and people would come from all over the area and fill up the stands of the basketball arena to see Pistol Pete. And he would put on these shows. He would throw the basketball all the way up in the rafters, catch it behind his back. He would do all kinds of he could, all kinds of tricks with a basketball like you see people doing today, but he was doing it in the 1960s, long before Jester Says Hey. And so you know how the girls used to chase the Beatles around? Chester, you're going to knock over the computer here if you're not careful. Used to chase the Beatles around. Well, we as basketball fanatics at age 9, 10, 11 years old, we chased Pistol Pete. When he got through with his exhibition, we chased him. He had to run into the coach's office, and we thought we had him trapped in the coach's office, and he crawled out the window and got away from us. And so I went around, we all rushed around, we just figured out what had happened. And I had a little medicine bottle, and I scooped up dirt where Pistol Pete had walked, where his footprint had been. And I carried that, I didn't carry it around with me, but I kept that. I eventually threw it away. But I bet I kept it well into adulthood before I did anything with it. So that's a little one of the basketball related things. We also had, you remember, the emblem for the NBA. It's got the guy, it's a silhouette of a guy dribbling a basketball. Well, I don't know if you know this or not, but that was the great Jerry West. And don't eat that, Chester. And I was at another basketball camp when I was about 10 or 11 years old, called the Carolina Cougar Camp at Guilford College in Greensboro. Carolina Cougars were an ABA team, American Basketball Association. They were the upstart rivals of the NBA back in the 60s, I guess, early 70s, I guess. And Jerry West came as one of those guest speakers. And he was out in the gym just shooting baskets. And a bunch of us campers came up and just, I'm sure annoyed the crap out of him. But I blocked Jerry West's shot. Now, granted, there were 10 of us hanging on to him, but I got up there and I blocked one of the greatest NBA players of all time, Jerry West. I blocked his shot. So there you go. There's something about me. My claim to fame. As a kid, I blocked Jerry West's shot. And the third thing he wanted us to do was talk about where we saw ourselves going with our record collection in the coming year. I think the biggest thing for me is to be more selective. I've just piled up so many records picked up at thrift shops and yard sales and things like that mostly. And as I clean them and play grade them, everything, a lot of them just, a lot of wishful thinking about I can clean this up and it'll sound good. And, there's just so much you can do cleaning records. You're going to get a lot of surface noise in some of these old records, and you can look at them and you can tell it's probably not going to work. Well, I was overly optimistic in 2019, 2018. So 2020, I'm going to be more selective and just look for records that have a much greater chance of being good quality records for me. Okay, that's my entrance into the competition, my entry into the competition. I'll remind everybody, I've got a competition also, and check my site out. I surpassed 130 subscribers. I'm up to about 160 some now. If you're not subscribing to mine, please do. And I'd love for you to enter my competition as well, as Jeff's here. Okay, so remember, be kind to your neighbor. Everybody's your neighbor.